Dawn breaks over a muddy valley, and your ears are already bleeding. No, not from battle, not from mammoth howls, but from the sound of your neighbors trying to invent music. You're hunched near your fire pit, clutching a cracked bowl of half-warm root mush, hoping it's at least 20% actual food. When it starts again. Across the shallow ravine, Ugg Clan is at it. Banging rocks together like it's a tribal garage band and the only genre they know is stonecore. Heavy on the percussion, zero melody, maximum trauma. This isn't music, this is geological assault. Someone is using a log as a drum. Someone else is just yelling into a hole. Their self-admitted band leader, probably named Blonk, has decided to introduce experimental screeching. It sounds like a dying bird arguing with a flute made of teeth. You didn't ask for this. You never asked for this. But you've got neighbors, and they suck. Welcome to the Paleolithic suburbs, where the property lines are imaginary, the personal space is theoretical, and your morning meditation is ruined by someone attempting throat singing while squatting in your berry patch. Let's clear something up. Cavemen weren't loners. They didn't live in isolated little caves like disgruntled trolls, hoarding mammoth bones and muttering about fire taxes. Early humans moved in small bands, tight-knit, smelly, interdependent packs of 20 to 40 people, roaming the wilds together in search of roots, warmth, and people who could hold in a fart for more than 3 minutes. You shared everything. Food, shelter, lice, unsolicited opinions about firewood stacking. These bands were your whole world. Family, friends, that one weird cousin who swears moss can cure heartbreak. You were stuck with them, and they were stuck with you. But sometimes, just sometimes, your band wasn't the only one in town. Because while you were living your best hunter-gatherer life, minding your own fire, another band might show up. They roll in with their matching furs, aggressive berry baskets, and smug cave art. Suddenly, your peaceful river spot turns into a prehistoric apartment complex. Too many toddlers, too few edible tubers, and one guy who always poops upstream despite the very clear stick markers. Thus, neighbors, and not the good kind that offer you extra tubers during winter. No, the other kind. The ones who borrow fire and never return it. The ones who sing off-key ritual chants at 3 a.m. The ones whose goats won't stop staring at you while you bathe. You didn't evolve social skills for this. You evolved them for spears and survival, not for managing cave-front property drama. But here they are, grunting too loudly, carving their feelings into your favorite boulder, and letting their children name every rock Fluffy. Welcome to humanity's oldest feud, you, and the people who settle just a little too close. And let's be honest, not all neighbors are bad. Some bring gifts, extra roots, shiny rocks, gossip about who got chased by a goose this morning. Some are useful, even delightful, the kind who lend you fire when yours goes out, help chase off a bear, or show you a new way to mash tubers without spraining your wrist. They share jokes, share tools, even share in mourning when you lose someone to a snake pit or an unfortunate mushroom incident. But some are Org Clan. And Org Clan is a lot. They're loud, they borrow your firewood and never return it. They think communal bathing is optional. It's not. Their shaman chants off-key like he's summoning an off-brand thunder god. Their toddlers throw lizards at people. Their camp smells like boiled skunk moss and bad decisions. Their alpha male wakes up at dawn every day, to scream affirmations into the mist, like, Org strong, Org fast, Org pee furthest. One time he added, Org love self, and you briefly respected the emotional growth, until he urinated into your water stash. You've tried ignoring them, you've tried subtle glares across the stream, you've even built a leaf screen for privacy, but they just use it as a nap blanket. Their dog? Not a dog. A large rodent they insist is spiritually connected to their ancestors. It bites. You've considered switching valleys. You've considered faking a spirit vision that says they need to move to the tundra immediately. You've considered setting their lizard-throwing toddler gently adrift on a raft of bark. You're running out of options. So, what did cavemen actually do when their neighbors were the worst? Let's break it down. Step 1, the passive-aggressive phase. Cave diplomacy begins the way all timeless conflicts begin, with petty, nonverbal warfare. You start by building your fire, just a little closer to their hunting path. Not blocking it, just suggesting. Then maybe you casually dry your underwear on the rocks they like to nap on. Someone accidentally draws a mammoth with Org's limp foot in a cave painting, and Org clan, they respond in kind. They howl louder during your sleep time, their kids steal your decorative feathers, one of them fakes a limp to avoid hunting, then sprints when a rabbit appears. It's war, but with more grunting and fewer pants. Step 2, the boundary ritual. Eventually, someone gets the idea to draw a line, literally. Using ash, dirt, or crushed berries, a member of your band outlines a territory boundary. From this burnt log to that slightly sad bush, this is our side. You make it clear, respectful, civil. The next morning, Org is using your sad bush as a toilet and claims they thought the line was decorative. You retaliate with your most sacred diplomatic tool, the angry pile of sticks. A traditional warning, the angry stick pile is placed precisely on the border, symbolizing frustration, intention, and mild tree violence. Org clan retaliates with a passive pile of moss, an insult so absurd it demands escalation. Step 3, the Council of Glares. When petty tactics fail, you initiate the only truly ancient form of conflict resolution, the group stare-off. 2 bands, 2 fires, 30 people sitting across from each other with narrowed eyes and tight jaws, silently judging each other's life choices. It goes on for hours, no one blinks. Someone's eye twitches, someone else eats a beet defiantly. Eventually, a toddler farts, tension breaks, everyone leaves, nothing is resolved, but now it's personal. Step 4, petty theft and passive foraging. At some point, diplomacy dies and mischief begins. Your band accidentally gathers mushrooms from Org's foraging patch. They steal your moss bedding. You smear clay on one of their ceremonial goats. They retaliate by throwing shade at your cooking technique. Literally, they build a structure that casts a shadow on your cook fire. Aunt Grub makes a sarcastic cave carving, 2 Org members with stink lines. Org responds by drawing you with crossed eyes and a mole the size of a berry. This continues until both cave walls resemble an ancient version of Facebook, but with more fangs and fewer inspirational quotes. Step 5, the intervention of the shaman. Eventually, things get too intense. Someone cries during the morning tuber meeting, the fire gets kicked, tensions hit a boiling point. Enter the shaman. Half spiritual guide, half tribal therapist, the shaman emerges from their sleep pit covered in feathers, mud, and the pungent confidence of someone who's been microdosing frog slime. The shaman calls a peace ceremony. Both tribes must attend. Offerings are made. Someone chants. Someone cries. Someone sneezes into the ceremonial broth. The shaman speaks. Spirit of Skyrock says, "Stop being buddids." You agree to new rules, shared fire schedule, no more rock drumming after dusk. Mutual respect for berry zones. It almost works. Until Org builds a sweat hut that funnels all the steam directly into your cave. Step 6. The primal scream. Every ancient community has its breaking point. Yours comes when Org's pet goat eats your family's entire winter beet supply. You don't yell. You don't cry. You walk up to the communal boulder and you scream. From the diaphragm. From the soul. A long, primal, echoing scream that shakes moss off the cave walls and silences the squirrels for miles. Org hears it. The tribe hears it. A distant eagle screams in solidarity. No one says anything. But things change. Org stops singing during nap time. They stop borrowing your tools. They move their goat. The scream worked. Step 7. The truce dance. Eventually, days, weeks, moons later, you find peace, not through battle, but through dance. At the next ritual feast, your best drummer and their second best dancer start a spontaneous circle. It's weird, it's aggressive, it involves a lot of hip thrusts. Someone joins in, then another, then you. Suddenly, both tribes are moving together, stomping in rhythm, glaring but dancing, letting the grudge burn off in movement and sweat and one unfortunate knee injury. And that night, something strange happens. They pass you a roasted yam. You accept. The next morning, Org leaves a decorative feather at your doorstep. You respond with a well-placed rock that says, okay, but don't push it. The war is over. Kind of. Caveman Neighborhood Watch. With peace tentatively restored, the tribe decides it's time for structure, boundaries, civilization, or at least the Paleolithic version of a politely worded neighborly note. So they invent rules. The shush stone, a large, smooth rock placed just outside your cave entrance. Its meaning is simple: do not yell, baby sleeping, or adult weeping. Over time, it becomes shorthand for I need silence or I'll lose what's left of my sanity. It's mostly respected, mostly. The sharing log, a hollowed-out log placed between camps. Any food left on the log is considered fair game. Roots? Yes. Nuts? Definitely. Mushrooms? Maybe. Except sometimes the mushrooms are not for eating. Sometimes they're just there to see who passes out first. It becomes both a culinary tradition and a personality test. The boundary beat. A single, dramatically buried beat at the edge of your living space. Not for food. No, this beat is symbolic. It says, cross this line and I will pee in your water jug, and smile while doing it. It's subtle. It's passive-aggressive. Are these systems perfect? Absolutely not. The shush stone gets ignored by toddlers. The sharing log is occasionally raided by raccoons. And one time, the boundary beat was accidentally eaten by a wandering elder with poor eyesight and zero spatial awareness. But somehow, they work. Mostly. As the annoying neighbor's survival guide. So what can we learn from this? 1. Don't escalate too fast. Sometimes the difference between war and peace is one less aggressive fart. 2. Use your shaman. They're weird. They smell like moss and fear, but they have power. 3. Dance it out. Nothing diffuses ancient rage like synchronized squatting around a fire pit. 4. Raw your boundaries, literally, and maybe reinforce them with a wall of spiky branches and shame. Lastly, because the moment you stop finding it funny that Org screams motivational quotes at dawn is the moment you become the annoying neighbor. And now, us. Modern neighbors don't steal your berries or poop near your fire pit, but they do blast music at 3 a.m., they park like blindfolded wombats, they let their dog pee on your basil, and they never, ever return your hedge trimmer. And yet, we survive. We negotiate trash days, we invent polite emails, we build fences, nod awkwardly in elevators, and passive-aggressively rake leaves toward their lawn. Because deep down, we're still just cave folk with slightly better plumbing, still trying to balance peace, personal space, and the quiet desire to scream into a rock. And somehow, it still works. So, the next time your neighbor decides to power wash their driveway at 6 a.m. on a Saturday, just as you are about to enter a spiritual sleep cycle, take a breath. Channel your inner hunter-gatherer. Light a symbolic fire. Maybe not literally, maybe it's a scented candle. Draw a beat on their mailbox, or leave an actual beat. Bonus points if it's slightly buried for dramatic effect. And remember, cavemen didn't have HOA meetings. They didn't have community guidelines or strongly worded notes on recycled paper. They had awkward dances, loud boundary grunts, suspicious mushroom exchanges, and a shared understanding that even the most annoying neighbors were still part of the same tribe. Until they moved upstream, anyway. Then you threw a going-away rock and called it a ritual.